Today we catch up with Coach Rodenberg, week 8 of the season. How are we doing, Coach?
Good, Rob. Thanks.
Last week, a very tough Madeira Mustang team came over, got the best of you, 48-14. Let's, like we do every week, let's talk about areas of the game that you were pleased with that you can build off of.
Well, I thought our guys really, they worked hard. They fought. We played a really good football team. That team's going to win a lot of games, and they had a lot of seniors. I talked to the coach before the game, 15 seniors starting for them, and
it showed.
It did show. But I thought our kids fought, and we're continuing to fight each week, and our kids are continuing to stay focused on the process. Losing hurts,
Yep.
No doubt, and you always talk about the process. I know that kind of becomes a word. But they are. They know what's coming, and they know that they need to work, and we're getting better each week.
As you coached the game last Friday and looked at Madeira with their 15 seniors, could you kind of foresee your team next year being the Madeira Mustangs?
Oh, definitely. The kids told me that Madeira was in a similar boat last year. They kind of struggled, and they stuck with it, and then the weight room and so forth. And I even posed a question to our kids. I said, every single one of our, again, we have one senior that starts. Every one of our kids, just by pure growth, will be 10 pounds heavier next year. And if we get in a weight room like we will, we could be 15 to 20 pounds. So you look at our football team, and you're looking at a team that next year, it'll be the same kids, but a completely different look. And that's what seniors do for you. Seniors give you leadership,
sure,
and they give you that physicality, maturity level.
And another year under your program next year under their belts.
And they understand it.
Yeah, that's great. For anybody that hasn't seen a game here at Tomahawk Stadium, and I know this is new for you this year, before you took the job, I told you how special Friday night was here. What's been your thoughts so far on home games here at Indian Hill?
Well, I like what the community does. I like what Brian does. Brian really does it up. He makes it a special night for the kids and for the families. And the weather's been great this year. And I've had the chance I had to walk to the office one time, one of our home games. So I think I got the chance to see the full, spectrum of everything, all the play toys and things like that.
Pretty great, right?
It's an awesome experience, and they do it right here. And again, I think the people I think they like their football, and we're going to give them something to cheer about. Sounds
great. We haven't talked about your lower level teams. As the head coach / program director, I thought let's talk a little bit about your 7th grade, your 8th grade, and your reserve teams. Let's go 7th grade first.
7th grade, they're having a rough season this year, but again, I really like how they're getting coached. They're battling and they're practicing with the 8th grade team. Kind of lead into that, who's having a phenomenal season.
Let's talk about 8th grade. They're really doing well.
They are. They're undefeated. They got some great athletes. So when you see the 7th grade pressing with the 8th grades, things are going to rub off. Things are going to get better. I'm not so worried about the 7th grade because you haven't hit maturity yet. You haven't hit that, that puberty yet. So there's a lot of things that can go on. With that 8th grade team's got some big kids, some really good athletes, and they're just playing great football right now. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and we get those guys in there lifting on Friday with us, and so I'm excited to get them in the weight room with the varsity program, come January. So I'm excited. They're doing well, they're playing well, and again, they're playing with great confidence, and they're being coached well, which is important to me. Then the reserve team.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 wins, and we've have to do some patchwork with the reserve team this year because we've had some varsity injuries where we've had to take kids that probably aren't quite ready for varsity yet and put them in a game, which doesn't make them available for reserves. But the reserves have got 2 nice wins, and I'm excited for what they've got to bring. And there's some sophomores on that team next year that are going to take some pressure off some of the varsity guys going both ways next year.
If you don't mind me going back to the 8th grade just for a second, the thing that for the program that's exciting for you next year is building depth for your varsity, because those guys can come up, fill in at your reserve, fill in varsity spots, and for practices, it allows you to have a much more competitive practice.
No doubt. We'll become a more normal program next year because we'll have a senior class, we'll have a junior class, a sophomore class, and a freshman class. So how many of those freshmen will help? That's not necessarily the key. It could. I mean, I don't think you want a lot of freshmen helping you out, but it's that, like you said, it's that practice. That's what's going to help. You know, being able to get a really quality practice, being able to come out for 2 hours. I mean, right now we go for about an hour and a half, and we're exhausted because, I mean, we're servicing ourselves and we're beat.
Sure.
Next year you add another, 15, 20 players with a couple guys that can get some special teams work. It
makes everything
scenes,
better.
It makes everything better that you might not quite see out of those freshmen next year, but it'll be a huge help.
Sounds great. Let's switch gears, talk about your upcoming game tomorrow against Finneytown. What have you seen on Huddle? What do you expect to see when you travel over to Finneytown tomorrow?
A lot of speed. Finneytown's got a quarterback that just scares you. They're not having a very good season, but, they played Marymount really tough. They're a type of team that, you've got them stopped, and then the quarterback kind of rocket launches a ball and they catch it. So you got to make sure they don't score cheap ones on you. We've got another player down this week, and that's going to make it a little bit more competitive. But I feel like if we do our job and we don't give up the cheap score, we'll be in great shape to get our second win, and that'll be good for the kids.
Great, Coach. Well, best of luck tomorrow against Finneytown. We'll touch base next week, and all the best.
I appreciate it, Rob. Thanks.